Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Film Seizure at the Movies. I am Geoff Arbuckle.
I am Jason Oliver.
And, so what are we here for? What's the big celebration? Why are we wearing tuxes? I mean, I'm always wearing a tux.
I'm in my really uncomfortable theater seat, not at a dinner table.
Right.
They
didn't serve beer or wine or anything.
No, but maybe Ellen DeGeneres will bring pizza.
Oh, then maybe she'll bring in some treats.
That'd be
snacks.
great. Yeah.
Maybe Jimmy Kimmel will get his guy to bring in some stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, we are here today to talk about our favorite films of 2019.
Yes, it's a very good year.
Yeah.
I will say that. So I'm excited to talk about some good stuff. Couple of things before we get started. Every Wednesday, Film Seizure. That's our regular podcast show. If you're listening to this, you probably know that.
Yeah.
Mondays, I do Monster Mondays. So anytime you want to find out what's going on, go over to filmseizure.com. Saturdays, hey, I've got 00 Saturdays going on now. That's out there for your eyeballs to consume and read and stuff. So that's you go to filmseizure.com. You'll find the places you can follow us. You can find all the places that our podcast is normally uploaded to and or found.
Yeah, check it
out. Now, one thing I do want to start this with. So a few weeks ago, we hit episode number 100. Big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal around these
the
parts.
Confetti dropped.
It did.
Yeah.
I'm still picking it out of my picking it out of my underwear.
It's my butt crack.
Yes, right. My butt crack.
Geez,
it's like right in that sweaty
like
butt
more
crack.
Confetti?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, Chuck, who oftentimes is on our program, talking about movies and stuff with us.
Yeah.
He was good enough to do a little interview, and in the interview, he said, he asked some questions about, the show, about how we come to, to do our show and how we have this really cool dynamic. And I want to bring up this because, Jason, you had said something very complimentary about my recall skills. We'll see about that. But I should have said thank you, and also complimented you on something that I feel you're particularly good at, and what makes this kind of whole show work. And that's the fact that you have this really good intelligence, and you really know what's important as far as narrative and themes in a movie. I'm not necessarily much of a critic. I can say what I like and what I don't like. I can't always say why something I like or don't like in the ways that you can. So I just wanted to correct that oversight.
Oh, that's really nice of you.
Well,
No, I didn't feel like slighted or that it was an oversight at all, but I really truly appreciate hearing that from you. And yeah, I think you have that in you as well. I think you bring that to the table. I often learn things new about movies that I love from your understanding of them. I think that's so important in film criticism is discussion.
Sure.
And that's what this show in many ways does. I mean, one example I brought up in the interview with Chuck was the Videodrome episode.
Oh yeah.
Like, you had insight into that made me think about that movie in a different way. And I've seen that movie several times, and and movies like that need to be unpacked.
Yeah.
Every time you see it, and outside perspective from yourself is important in that.
Sure.
So thank you, and I appreciate that, and but I also appreciate the lowbrow as well.
Right, because the reason why I brought that up was that you're going to notice a big difference in our list.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily have that what's the word the perception
Well,
that you have. It's sometimes I'm not as willing to watch some of the movies you watch.
It will. Well, it will definitely be a stark contrast in our number ones for the year.
Sure.
I mean, there will be no better indicator of that or example of that from our number ones.
Was that a pun with the stark contrast?
Oh no, but dang, I should have just taken credit.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of overlap.
Sure.
And really, it's
you don't look at anything that I have on my list and think, "Blah."
Right.
Yeah, and I don't look at anything at your list like, oh, hoity-toity.
Right.
I joke about that shit, but
well,
that's
yeah,
not,
the joke is that I'm the snob. Right, and that's fine. I'll accept that. But I also really do enjoy just fun dumb movies.
Hey,
you know?
Every now and then I bring something very artsy to the table.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I'm still reeling from Exotica.
Right.
Like
and you were shocked by.
I immediately purchased that movie,
right.
and I've watched it several times since. I absolutely love that movie.
You were also surprised by I'm Not There. It's like, well, Geoff brought the art this time.
Yeah. I was like, dang.
Some very, very high concept stuff.
Yeah, this is some lyrical shit up in here right now. Got fucking what's his face from Pretty Woman, Richard Gere, like playing some Bob Dylan character from his lyrics. It's like, what is this? This is Anyway,
all right. So, we were going to talk about we're going to talk about our year in this kind of format.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the worst movies we saw.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the honorable mentions.
Yes.
And we're also going to go through our list of 10 best.
Yes.
In the course of this, we might talk about some other things that we got the opportunity to see. Mm-hmm. Particularly like some documentaries, which we've never really talked about before.
Yeah.
And then we'll also probably talk a little bit about performances that we really like. Mm-hmm. I think just from our lists, there are performances in here that are rather good.
Yes.
Rather good. So let's start with our worst, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
To get this off
you need to unleash.
My plate.
You need to unleash.
So my worst of 2019 was the last movie I saw in 2019, which is The Haunting of Sharon Tate. No. So this was directed by Daniel Farrens, and he wrote, I don't think he was the director. I think he wrote Halloween 6. So this is where we're working from.
That's a bad start.
That's a bad start. It stars Hilary Duff as Sharon Tate. And this is another one of those kind of fairy tale sort of movies where it kind of tries to change history a little bit, but falls completely and totally on its face, as if it was that drunk girl at the party that's always over by the punch bowl, and then eventually just falls over and takes the punch bowl with her.
Yeah, it sounds like it kind of exploits rather than honors.
Exactly.
Subjects.
It's so here's the thing. Hilary Duff's fine in it. I mean, like, she's not
the reason this movie's terrible.
No, by far. But she doesn't really have much to work with either. I mean, the dialogue's dumb. People say really stilted things to each other. Like, an example that I can give is like if you were murdered in a high profile murder, and
you were murdered in a murder.
If you were murdered in a murder, it was real high profile murder, and the murder, and we murdered. Then I wrote a movie about that said murder, and I wrote a scene where we're talking right now about this movie, and I say, this movie really taught me that you really should enjoy every moment that you have on this planet because you never know when the time's up. People say shit like that in this movie. It's bad. It's not good.
It's just so shallow.
Yeah, it is. And like there's like they find a Ouija board game and like Sharon Tate's like like she's saying something like, if she's going to have a baby girl and if she's going to live a long happy life. And of course it says no. And it's like so it uses a lot of slasher movie tactics, which makes me think that this guy can only think in slasher movie terms. Like, this is something that should be handled with some grace.
Yeah.
I mean, even Quentin Tarantino, with a very ridiculous final act, handles this story with a lot of grace
Absolutely.
and taste.
He respected his subject.
Exactly. And so, I mean, this is just kind of, there's like paranormal stuff in it, kind of. It's like nightmares and premonitions.
That's so
and stuff.
bizarre.
It's so weird. Like there's this whole subplot where like Charlie Manson's always leaving these tapes, which I think really was what was going on. He was trying to leave it with what's his name?
Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys. He Dennis Wilson basically stole one of Manson's songs and recorded
Good Vibrations, right?
No, definitely not. But yeah, he was done wrong by Dennis Wilson.
So this one of the guys who got killed is like a tech nerd or something, and like even at one point, like Sharon Tate's like, "You really should go into a job like this." Like, ugh. And he's like, he discovers that there's backmasking on the so he's playing something backwards and it says like Helter Skelter, of course. And he's like, "That's really clever." It really isn't. And he figures out that this is some sort of conspiracy to turn people into like mind controlled consumer zombies. That's insane.
Wow. That's wow.
That is insane. Like that is embarrassing. So to Sharon, to the haunting of Sharon Tate, I salute you with a big ass middle finger. I look forward to declaring Daniel Farron's follow up to this film, The Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, as the fuck off movie of 2020 when we do this again next year.
Oh, okay. So, we talked about this a little bit offline, but my worst of the year isn't so much a worst movie or anything like that. It's more of a disappointment. Most of what I saw in 2019, I wanted to see with the expectation that I would enjoy it. I didn't really seek anything out that I thought might be notorious, like The Fanatic or something like that, right? These are movies
I should say that, The Haunting of Sharon Tate did beat out Cats and The Fanatic.
And The Fanatic for worst of, which is important. Because those movies are critically reviled. Yeah.
Those are like the right fist and the left fist of Mike Tyson, and The Haunting of Sharon Tate was like the right hook of Buster Douglas.
Yeah. So generally with bad movies, I will seek them out eventually, especially if Geoff tells me I should watch it because they're that kind of bad. And I'm curious enough about both of those movies that I'll probably watch them. And I'm sure if I watched them in 2019, I would have declared one of them the worst. But for me, the worst movie of 2019 is more of the biggest disappointment of 2019. And it's M. Night Shyamalan's Glass.
Yeah, I remember you being real excited about going to see it because you really liked what was the one with James McAvoy?
I wouldn't say I really liked it. Split,
but you thought it was.
I thought it was fine, and I liked how it was a backdoor sequel to Unbreakable.
Right.
I thought that was really clever. I mean, its twist. Emma Shyamalan's all about the twist. Its twist was that it was a sequel to Unbreakable, or that it existed in the Unbreakable universe, and I thought that was probably his best twist in a long time. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, to the point where he's not always allowed to do twists.
It's like, holy shit. He's been wanting to make Unbreakable 2 since he made Unbreakable. Bruce Willis and Sam Jackson have wanted to make Unbreakable 2 since they made Unbreakable. He's never been able to get the money to make it because Unbreakable didn't really do that well. So he made a movie that wasn't Unbreakable, but made it so that he could backdoor a sequel.
Right.
And I thought that was genius. I mean, that's the perfect way to play the Hollywood game to get what you want creatively, right? So that created a lot of newfound interest, I guess, in myself, or even more than interest, just like anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
That, holy shit, he's going to finally do it. He's going to make an Unbreakable sequel because I quite like Unbreakable. I also quite like The Sixth Sense. That's really where my like of his filmography ends.
I think that there's quite a bit to Signs that's interesting.
Signs fell apart in the third act for me.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, which a lot of his movies do.
That's right. Either
Yeah.
you go in with the twist
Yeah.
or you don't.
Right.
It's a make or break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But I am one of those people who I feel like The Sixth Sense is one of the great supernatural thrillers ever made. I really do. I would put it in the list of 100 best movies ever made. Honestly, I think it is that good. It is a tight, super complex, and really a perfect script. And it is the rewatchability, even knowing everything that happens. It is a very rewatchable film to kind of understand the actors' nuances and what they understand in every scene.
Right.
It's just really well made. And then Unbreakable, I thought, was a really interesting origin of a superhero story told before we really had any comic book movies.
Right. Yep.
At least not on the scale that we have now.
Not like we do now. It's not its own subgenre at that time. Yeah.
And it did it being an original superhero story, right?
Yeah.
Like not not in the fold of a DC or a Marvel, which I thought was just so interesting. So Glass. I mean, what can you really say? I mean, it critically, when I think about the movie, it just sort of didn't really come together. It didn't culminate in anything interesting. It put characters together, but in a way that they were bound and not able to really interact in a fun way. It felt like it was constrained by budget, which would make sense because I'm sure it was a risk, even though Split made a bunch of money. Not a lot of people saw Unbreakable, right? So who are these new characters?
Right.
For the people who like Split, right? It just didn't quite work, and you could kind of see what he was doing with the theme of now. It's been so long since we've had Unbreakable, and now we have Unbreakable 2 or whatever you want to call it, Glass, and we've had this swath of superhero movies in between, and he was almost trying to deconstruct that, I think, and bring it down to like this sort of meta level, and it just none of it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
to be honest with you, I was concerned that it was coming out in January.
yeah,
And it wasn't a like November or October sort of movie.
Yeah.
Where it probably should have been.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I don't know. I anybody who saw it probably was like, yeah, it wasn't great. And it wasn't. I mean, everybody seemed game. But no, it just wasn't what I wanted. And to be fair, I don't know what I really wanted. I just wanted a better movie.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So it's your crowning achievement of disappointment when
Yeah.
you just don't get what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Fair enough.
But like you said, I mean, 2019 was a pretty good year. I mean, there were a lot of movies I liked and a lot of movies that I felt were better than average.
Yeah. This was better than average. I mean, I went to a whole bunch of movies.
Yeah.
And there's so few, like, until I saw those three that I've mentioned, the Sharon Tate movie, Cats, and the Fanatic. It's like, am I really gonna call Hellboy my least favorite movie of the year? But it's like, it's the most disappointing for sure.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So yeah, I mean, what do you do?
See, that is a situation where I started to watch Hellboy, I couldn't finish it. I started to watch Godzilla King of Monsters, and I couldn't finish it. Like, I got halfway through both of those movies, and it's just like, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Yeah.
So I just stopped watching.
And that's sometimes even worse, but at the same time, it's like, can you really? You can't really honestly say it's bad,
Right. It's just like I don't really. There's nothing here for me.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, you see reviews online if somebody says, "Oh, this gets a half a star because I walked out halfway through." Then you don't get the
Then
review.
you shouldn't review it.
You shouldn't review
Right.
it.
And I'm not going to call either one of those movies my worst of the year because I didn't finish the movie.
Right.
And
honestly, what were you expecting out of it either?
Exactly.
I mean, they're more my thing than yours.
Right.
In some regard.
But in a lot of ways, I like the Hellboy movies.
Sure.
I like Godzilla movies. I didn't really love the more recent Godzilla movie, but I loved Kong.
Oh yeah.
Loved
Skull,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of hoping for that because I was thinking, all right, maybe they're trending in that direction. It just
didn't work out. Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. So let's talk about some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I've got 2 that I can talk for a couple of minutes about. One that I can just mention, and you've got a couple,
I've got
right?
2.
You've got 2. So I'll start with one that didn't quite make the top 10. I liked it very much. I know this is a departure from your sensibilities and from what you wanted, but Joker was one that didn't make the top 10.
Oh, right.
An incredible performance from Joaquin Phoenix. I can't look past that. We disagree with some of the themes of the movie, but that's neither here nor there. It didn't quite make my top 10.
I would definitely agree with the performance. Very good. Definitely deserving of the nomination. And the Golden Globe win. We'll see. He'll probably win the Oscar.
He'll probably win the Oscar.
Which is interesting that role is going to win Oscar twice.
And where's Jack Nicholson?
And Jack Nicholson. Yeah. He didn't even get nominated, did he?
He didn't even get nominated.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
All right. I have my favorite sci-fi movie of the year, and that was High Life. Claire Denis or Denise. I think it's Claire Denis, Denis. She's been around since the 80s. Kind of hoity-toity, you might call it pretentious, but I've not seen many of her movies.
I haven't called it nothing.
Kind of famous for her debut film, Chocolat.
Oh, I've seen that movie.
Not the one that you think it is with Johnny Depp.
Oh no, I've seen the original one.
Oh really? From 1988?
Yeah, I think I rented it around that time. Yeah, I think
okay.
I think I rented it at VH1 around that time.
Oh, cool. Well, I've not seen it. I have not seen a Claire Denis film until High Life.
The little tally board comes up. Jeff gets 1.
Yeah, good for you. But there is that Chocolat,
right?
Which is funny because you can get it confused because I believe Juliette Binoche was in Chocolat.
Yes,
and she is also in High Life.
Yeah.
So there's like a weird thing there, but anyway,
yeah, it's a Frenchy thing.
Yes, but I really like this movie. It's sort of existential sci-fi. Right, very slow, deliberate. It's told out of order. It's it's basically like the Earth. It's pretty common trope, but Earth needs energy sources. They're sending people out into deep space to find new sources of energy. There's this black hole that they think maybe can be harnessed to bring energy or to generate energy, but nobody wants to go on these missions, so they send prisoners. And it's like an all prisoner manned mission, and it's like find energy or humanity dies. It's like a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Right. And they have probably a lot of these ships out there, but it explores themes of like the laws of nature and just human creation, and sort of the contradictions that you kind of see within the laws of nature. Like a lot of people, they're at the end of the galaxy, edge of the galaxy. It's like, what? This is all meaningless. There's like a nihilism almost, and they're almost purposefully trying to subvert the laws of nature to find meaning, which I think is interesting. But I would put it in the vein of like a Solaris or a 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's very much that type of sci-fi. I really liked it. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one that I wanted to mention was another that's gotten a lot of Oscar attention. Probably is not going to win anything though. Is Marriage Story. Netflix. They've been kind of coming through lately with these small movies that, let's face it, the movie industry isn't going to have space for a 2-hour and 15-minute, mostly long take conversation scenes done as a drama.
Yeah, Netflix is filling a need. Honestly,
yeah.
People complain about the death of cinema, but
there's no way I'm going to watch that movie at the art cinema that we go to.
It's just the way things are now.
Those people don't eat popcorn in a normal person's quietness.
Right.
So, yeah.
Nobody wants to see a movie like that in the theater anymore.
No,
I don't want to. Even with the respect I have for large format viewing and theater going experience, I know the general public sucks.
Yeah.
I want to watch a movie at home.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Marriage Story is this real basic, simple story about a marriage coming to a close, and the messiness that can happen with divorce. As a divorce guy, I can kind of understand that a little bit. And, I'm very lucky that my ex is pretty cool, and also we didn't have kids, which complicates a lot.
It's like, whoa, right? The complication that caused in that movie.
Yes. Like it gets, the worst is brought out from outside forces.
Uh-huh.
And that can be true just in general. People can sometimes get connected to people who bring out the worst in you, especially when there's some sort of change in your life. So this is, it's kind of it's a pretty powerful movie, and it's nice to see just these are the types of movies that existed in the late 70s and the 80s where people are it's just a drama, and it's just two people trying to figure out their bullshit.
It's surprisingly funny.
It is. Like, there are times where I'm laughing because if I didn't, I'd be gutted by and there's no way for you to take a side in this movie. Like, both people do bad things.
I took a side though. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because all I could think about once he got that grant was that all those theater people who work for him, that they weren't going to get paid.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, you motherfucking bitch. You're taking money from their mouths, like food from their mouths.
But that's not. That's Laura Dern's.
I know.
Yeah.
But that was like, I told Susan,
I could take a side against her.
After we watched that movie, I told her, I mean, I don't know what this says about me, but I could not think about anything other than the theater company,
right?
And if they were going to make it.
Right. No, and that's fair because so but that's the thing. It's like that's not neither of the people who's really at the heart of this. Right. That's not their fault.
Yeah.
As much as it was this outside force and it's just
the performances in that movie are great.
I mean, just like these are two people. What did they do this year? They did a Marvel movie and a Star Wars movie, and you get to see them now be real actors.
Well, not only that, but I mean, Scarlett Johansson was nominated for 2 movies.
Yeah, we'll talk about her again here very shortly. But anyway,
I thought Adam Driver's performance in Marriage Story was better than Joaquin Phoenix.
Fair enough.
Joker. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, and there's reason. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to vote.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay, so my last honorable mention. So I did my favorite sci-fi movie of the year. I'm going to do my favorite action movie of the year. And it was John Wick 3. Man, these movies are just fun. Like, they are. The first John Wick movie was kind of like this mystery. It's like, what is this? And you watch it, and it's this really good action movie, but it's also this really intriguing criminal underground world building, right? And all of these rules in this underground that nobody sees in normal day in life, but this is their lives, and it's all like this separate currency. It's this separate culture, and then they grow that into the second movie and into the third movie, and it's just constantly building upon itself, this sort of criminal mythology. And what I really love, though, is that these movies, they do action right. Mm-hmm. They are you can see what's happening. They don't put the camera too close. They don't try to hide flaws. It's just perfectly choreographed. They take time and effort to making things look good and in a way that you can process when you see it, right? So you can understand, what's happening on screen. There's so many action movies nowadays that just they shake the camera or they try and hide things, or they just move so fast you can't process the action.
Yeah.
These movies take their time, and it makes sense because the director of these movies is Chad Stahelski, I believe his name. He's a former stunt guy. Mm. He was a stunt guy for Albert Punes back in the day, And this guy, he's all about the stunts. He's all about giving stunt men and women work, right? So all of that's on screen.
Yeah.
It's great. And they're just these adrenaline pumping movies with a very simple story, but with a lot of detail and care.
Yeah.
They're perfectly crafted. And of course, Keanu is doing what he does best. He's the stoic badass.
Right. Yeah. He knows Kung Fu.
He does.
Yeah. So my last honorable mention was a little bit of a surprise. Not one that I expected to be. Well, it's a remake. I mean, and sometimes you look at why would somebody make a remake? Why are they doing something that was great and just doing it again? Why aren't they taking something that's different or that's hardly known and doing a different spin on it? But in this case, and this movie lingered at around number 9, number 10 for a little while until I really kind of unfortunately had to knock it off the list, which is unfortunate because I think this movie's first 40 minutes are amazing. And that's the movie that I'm talking about is the remake of Rabid. Rabid was, of course, in 1977 was done by David Cronenberg. Great movie. I've talked about it on Monster Mondays, because it's a different take on disease. It's a different take on vampirism, and it's a little bit of, there's a little bit of sexual transmitted disease kind of undertones and things like that. But this was remade by the Soska sisters, who are also Canadian. So they, in a way, it's kind of keeping it in Canada. I think it's almost an entirely Canadian cast too, and it stars Laura Vandervoort, who was Supergirl on Smallville, and she's playing this kind of. She has scars. I think she was like in a fire or a car accident, or no, what it was. She's a little bit. She's got like this the skin condition. She's got and like and it's caused scarring. It's kind of like what's that called? Rosacea.
Okay, yeah.
And she's a little mousy. She's a little, she works for this really demanding fashion designer. This really good-looking photographer that works at the fashion house asks her to this opening party, and it's like, oh my God, that's great. Well, only to find out that her friend kind of talked him into taking her out, which was kind of like a pity date, and it crushes her and she runs away. She gets into an accident, and basically her face is completely and totally like falls apart basically from this accident. It's all wired together, and she's basically never going to look normal again. So she goes to the Keloid Institute, which, just like in the original Rabid, this guy's got this new skin grafting thing. It makes her beautiful. But she has this insatiable desire for blood. Yeah. And he knows it, too. I mean, this is not like the original. Like, he knows that this is going to happen.
Right.
The whole reveal at the end, the second half of the movie gets really, really bizarre.
Interesting.
It zigs when you think it's going to zag, which it took me a minute to adjust, and it may take some people out, but I really liked it. But the reason why it just missed my top 10, the first 40 minutes are just some of the best character building I've seen in a long, long time. You are devastated for the Rose character. So, I mean, and she is just, she didn't ask for any of this. And she's essentially an orphan as well. So, I mean, like, everything that could go possibly wrong for her went wrong. And your heart goes out to her. And that's just some good character building.
This is on my list to see for sure. I like the Soskas, and of course I'm a fan of Cronenberg. And when I heard that they were doing the remake, I felt like it was going to be in pretty good hands. So it also does some very Cronenberg-y things. I'm
too.
Sure it does.
So I mean, it's not just a remake of Rabid, but it's a love letter to Cronenberg.
Yeah, that's what I felt like we would get is someone who respects him as a visionary.
But there is also this really interesting twist of like how society deals with shit that's not quite right.
Well, that's great.
And so there is a little bit of that. So that's what you have to adjust to.
Yeah.
When you realize that you're also in the fashion world, which isn't a normal or weird or maybe even a good place to be.
I feel like if you're going to remake a film, you need to update it with new subtext.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell the same story.
Right.
No one wants to see that. A good remake takes a good story and augments it and makes it relevant to our time.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, imagine if you're watching, Project Runway, and all of a sudden the Cronenberg movie breaks out. That's what you're watching with
that
this.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds fucking great.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get into our official top 10, you want to talk about a couple of just real quick, I just want to talk about two documentaries that I saw.
Shoot.
The first, if you haven't seen horror noir, watch it.
Oh yeah.
This is basically the history of African Americans in horror movies, how they've been perceived, how they're used, how they don't often survive, what fears it may create. Now, you may think, like I sit here and I say, well, I never thought any of this stuff, when I watch these movies. I'm not scared of black folk,
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't change the fact that the people who are making those movies or in those parts, or the African Americans watching those movies, are like, wow, they really think of us as like invaders, or so horror noir is a really fascinating deep dive into black culture in horror. And it's really good, and there's some really cool stuff that I definitely want to check out, like Ganja and Hess. And
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to check those flicks out.
Yep.
The other one I wanted to mention real quick was kind of an accident that I saw it. Kind of lucked into an extra ticket for something that was done through Fathom, and it was called "What We Left Behind: A Look Back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine." I never really was a Deep Space Nine fan, but I'm curious, and I've always been a fan of Star Trek, so I'm curious about the experiences of this kind of oddball show that didn't really feel like it ever had the following that any of the other shows had, even Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really heartfelt documentary made by the showrunner of the series. Or the head writer of the series, and it brings back as many people as possible to talk about this. So it's you're getting firsthand ideas, firsthand stories. Avery Brooks might be a madman, but he's kind of a brilliant madman.
I'm always amazed by how many seasons that show ran.
It ran 7. Yeah, and many people think that it got canceled at the moment it got best.
I always liked its intro.
Yeah,
like the music. I always thought it was,
and looking at the
it was very understated,
station.
very kind of almost cerebral in its presentation. It was
that's one that you can rent or buy really pretty inexpensively on Amazon digital. I definitely recommend. It's an hour and 45 minutes or so of just a deep dive into something that I never thought I'd care as much about as I do.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so I have a couple of documentaries. It's funny, of all of the documentaries we're talking about, none of them got nominated for Best Picture.
Of course not.
Or for Best Documentary. But I very much enjoyed horror noir as well. But one I saw was Hail Satan with a question mark.
Oh yeah,
about I'm gonna fuck it up, but the Church of Satan.
Not the Anton LaVey one, right?
Right.
It's the other one.
They're right, but they're connected,
right?
In a spiritual.
Well,
sense,
remember we joined the Anton LaVey one after Devil's Reign.
Devil's Reign, right?
Well,
but
I mean, I'm still a card carrying.
They are. It's an interesting documentary because their focus is more about equal representation of religion, right? So if you're going to put a Christmas tree up in the courthouse, you're going to also put a statue of Baphomet.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I like that. I like it's sort of keeping all the religions honest.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, and to be honest with you, Christians need them,
Yeah, they really do.
and Jewish people are probably thankful for them.
And it's amazing how aggravated and just hateful the Christians get about it. I mean, they truly turn into just ugly people, and they think that they're righteous.
Right.
And the whole time, the Church of Satan people are they're so professional about all of it.
Yeah.
You know, they are putting their best foot forward in all ways. It's just amazing. But yet they also do some really subversive stuff. Like they had a pink wedding on the gravestone of, I forget which evangelical. Oh, it was somebody in like the anti-gay movement or something. I can't remember. But they basically like sort of desecrated their gravestone by having a gay marriage on top of them, right? Which is just amazing. They just have this really crazy subversion that brings to light hypocrisy.
Right.
They're about sort of exposing hypocrisy.
Right. They're not. They don't really have a religion, but they do just enough to be a religion.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the John Oliver way of subversion.
Yeah. I love that. I love the whole time I'm watching it was just with glee because I love what they do. I love this dedication to exposing just righteous indignation.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, really good watch. The other one I have, I got to see the world premiere of this at Fantasia in Montreal. It was Blood and Flesh: The Real REEL Life and Ghastly Death of Al Adamson.
Oh, Al Adamson.
Yes.
I've seen many of his movies.
Yes.
Someday I will cover a couple on the movie Enema.
He is famous or notorious for Dracula versus Frankenstein. Probably his most famous, right?
That was bad.
This movie was directed by David Gregory. He is one of the owners / founders of Severin Films. He is a huge Al Adamson fan. They've put out several Al Adamson movies on Blu-ray and restorations. This movie was originally conceived as a special feature documentary. That's really where David Gregory kind of got his start in film, if you will, was creating and producing extras for Anchor Bay. And then he ended up creating his own film company in Severin. But yeah, this was originally going to be a special feature documentary on probably an Al Adamson release, like probably what's the one that they just released in the box set? Brain of Blood. Brain of Blood, yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's got one of my most favorite trailers ever. Yeah.
But it ended up, the more they dug into the story of his death and how crazy it was, and all the people that knew him and all the great things they had to say about him, like by all accounts, Al Adamson was just a solid dude. Like, everyone loved him, and so David Gregory realized, holy shit, I have a feature here.
Yeah.
So that's what he ended up doing, and it's this really beautiful love story about underground maverick filmmaking, low budget filmmaking, and also tragedy in the circumstances of his murder.
Well, I look forward to Daniel Farron's version of his tragic death.
Right.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it to anyone who loves even just the process of creating something, be it schlock or not. Right. It's great.
All right. So let's get to the main event. So we do have 4 movies that overlap.
Yes.
These movies are, I say they deserve to be here. We both picked them.
Absolutely, they do.
So I'm just going to throw out one.
Yeah.
And we'll talk briefly about it. A couple of these, 3 of the 4 we have talked about, and either one of us have talked about on Film Seizure at the Movies.
Yeah.
So we can just briefly talk about them there. But one is going to be an episode soon.
Yes.
So
yes, it is.
Let's start there.
Cool.
Ready or not?
Yeah.
That's the movie.
That's the
ready.
movie.
That's the movie.
I'm
Ready
ready.
or not?
I'm ready.
Ready or not? It's the movie.
Oh God, let's not do that in the episode.
We're 100. That whole episode is going to be a
It's
friggin'
going to be an what is it? Who's on first?
Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello skit. Yeah.
So ready or not? Well, let's talk about ready or not.
This is just an absolutely fun horror thriller romp. Like,
Yep.
It's that sort of gimmick horror, right?
Yep.
That I love. It's a perfect. It hits that sweet spot for me perfectly.
I knew within.
It's game horror.
Yeah, it's. I knew very quickly that this was something special
Yep.
when I watched it. It's. It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Nope.
It has fun. There's a character in this movie that fucking kills me and would kill me if I was in that house by accident.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies that is taking the most dangerous game idea
Yeah.
and doing something different with it.
Yeah.
And there is a class element, but it doesn't force it upon you.
Right.
It's a girl marrying into a very, very, very rich game tycoon family
It has
who also could be hanging out with Anton LaVey.
right.
to put a not too fine a point on it.
There are honestly a couple movies that fell into this vein in 2019. In a lot of ways, this is sort of Knives Out.
Yeah, and we'll be getting to that.
And it's also a little bit Satanic Panic, which is another movie I really liked in 2019. But this one was the one for me. Like,
Yeah.
that just it was so gleefully fun.
Yes. I was giddy for the whole hour and 39 minutes
Right,
or whatever
right.
it was. I mean, it is just the way people react to things, the things that happen throughout the course of the movie, the twists and turns, the final 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm doubled over laughing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that was real.
It surprises you at every turn. It's just so much fun.
It's so much fun, and it's one the start of March. Tune back in.
Yeah.
We will be talking about it with Chuck.
Yeah, in detail. It'll be great.
It'll be great. It'll be great. It'll be great. What's another one that we meet?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Of course. This is the film that it had 10 Oscar nominations. I think it was just behind Joker with 11.
Yep.
So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we talked about this when it came out. It originally was going to be not on my list. It was the movie that knocked Rabid out. And it had to.
Yeah.
After I saw The Haunting of Sharon Tate.
You had to give redemption.
Yeah, because it's like
Sharon Tate.
Yeah, I did, because it's like as much as
That's good of you.
I mean, well, yes, I mean, I did bless the spirit of Sharon Tate. No, it's if you listen to our Film Seizure at the Movies episode about it, I took considerable exception to the Bruce Lee scene.
Absolutely. We all did.
And I initially was kind of knocking the movie a couple of points for that, thus sending it out of the top 10. But then I realized that this is a movie that really, really, really cares about the subject. And it is a love letter, not to some of the bullshit the internet says, but a love letter to a simpler, more innocent time in Hollywood.
Yes.
I think most anybody who is a historian of Hollywood would say that really the murder of Sharon Tate was probably the end of the innocence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this movie is so careful with that and is so loving towards that.
Yes.
And anytime I think of that movie, I cannot stop thinking about the scene with Leonardo DiCaprio when they're filming, when he's being hired as the bounty hunter. That whole extended scene is so good.
Yeah.
And then later when they come back to it, when he's kind of improvising with the little girl actors, fucking love those scenes.
When she tells him, "You're the greatest actor I've ever seen." It's so great.
It's so great because it's like, yeah, right now I believe it.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah, and it is great.
And not long before that, he had a total meltdown in the trailer, right?
Because he couldn't say a line or something. Yeah.
It's just
it's so good.
It's an actor's movie.
It is. And it's one of those things where if you watch enough older movies with people who are a little bit past their prime and they're kind of schlocky bad movies, or you watch enough MeTV, both things I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of this is more than anything, that's what scratched that itch for me.
Yeah. I just love movies about old Hollywood in general.
Yeah.
Like movies about making movies I just love, right?
Yeah.
So it scratches a lot of itches for me. It's probably, it might be one of Tarantino's best scripts, really.
Probably.
When it gets right down to
he's going to win the Oscar for the script.
I would agree. I mean,
and Brad Pitt's going to win too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about this movie. We didn't even talk about Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So that's how good Brad Pitt is. You don't even have to talk about him. I do feel, though, you just lobbed me a perfect pitch, a perfect segue. About movies, about people making movies.
Movies about making movies.
Dolomite Is My Name.
Yeah.
This is one that I watched the moment that I had the free time to watch it. I couldn't wait for this movie.
Bitch, are you for real?
Bitch, are you for real? I love this movie. It personally hurt me that this got 0 Oscar nominations.
Yeah, it's that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if it was a thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, we'll nominate Wesley Snipes for Best Supporting Actor, that I would have been happy with at least that one.
He was so
but
good.
As good as he was, Eddie Murphy was just,
I know.
I mean, Eddie Murphy's performance as Rudy Ray Moore is by far my favorite performance of the entire 2010s.
Wow.
And this is one of my favorite non-Marvel movies of the 2010s. It fit just like you said. How much Ready or Not fit the bill for you?
Yeah,
Dolomite's My Name is it for me, man. I love the blaxploitation. I've been talking. I've been saying we need to watch Dolomite.
Yeah, we have.
And the Human Tornado at some point for the show. And we could do a whole Rudy Ray Moore.
It's fantastic.
Month.
I'm hard pressed to come up with a movie that is more feel good of 2019 than this movie.
Oh,
like out of the blue, I didn't expect it to be that inspiring.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I have absolutely no disbelief in my mind that Rudy Ray Moore wasn't a really super cool dude. He had a persona, and he played that persona. But I bet in real,
and that's what I love about this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, even like the sleazy producers, who like put his records out. Like had a humanity behind them.
Yes.
Like this movie just feels good.
Yeah. It's in a world that doesn't feel very good right now. This movie felt good.
Yeah. It put everyone's best face on. And I think that sometimes you just need that kind of positivity.
The moment that told me that this was a movie that was more than just a Eddie Murphy comedy was the scene in which he meets the lady D, and that is such
in the bar.
Yeah, that is great. Such a wonderful, caring scene.
You should be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah,
it's like she thinks he's trying to pick her up.
Yeah, and he's not. It's not a romantic relationship. No. It's a real human relationship.
Tug on it. Just give it a tug.
yeah. It's like, hey, man. Yeah,
it's all just an act.
It's all just an act. And,
love it.
And that's the moment that I said, oh, this is easily top 5 behavior like just this movie is acting like one of the best movies I've seen in ages.
It is an absolute travesty that this has not been recognized by the Academy this year.
Yeah. I mean,
in some way.
In some way. Yeah. I mean, I can understand not the script, although being written by the same people who wrote Ed Wood, I'm on board already.
And the some of the creative forces behind Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan, right? I mean,
yep. This comes with a little bit of
a lot of pedigree.
A lot of pedigree in this.
The director also is. It gives me a lot of hope for this movie. Actually, is doing the Coming to America sequel.
There we go.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
This is a movie that. I mean, yes, it's a lot of Eddie Murphy smiling in his Eddie Murphy way, but it's genuine.
The scene that I think of, it's the GIF, right, that you see from this movie now, or the GIF, whatever you want to do. But it's I see no reason to do it again. and then Eddie Murphy turns to the camera with the goofy smile, like. Yeah. Like I nailed it.
Yeah, I love it. Love this movie. Love this movie. You're gonna watch Return of the Living Dead tonight. I'm probably gonna watch.
It's great.
Dolomite Smiling.
Susan had no idea what it was, and I told her you have to see this movie. It's just great. You're gonna love this movie. She didn't know anything about Rudy Ray Moore. None of it. And it was maybe a third of the way into the movie. She's like, "Oh, I didn't even think this was a true story. I didn't know that we were watching a true story." I was like, "Yeah," and she loved it.
Yeah,
she loved this movie.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a crowd pleaser, folks.
Yep, it sure is. That leaves an interesting movie on the as the fourth
of the overlaps. Oof, yeah. So so this is Midsummer.
Yes.
Ari Aster's Midsummer, and when the film Seizure at the movies was just me, right? I
was talking to you about it.
You interviewed me kind of about it, yeah.
A little bit different format on that one, but
you hadn't
I hadn't seen it yet.
I saw it opening night.
You saw it opening night. I saw it. I almost fucked up and went to the wrong theater on its last weekend.
yeah.
The very last weekend. I've almost fucked up.
This of the overlap that we've had, this one ranks the highest for me. I think Dolomite ranked the highest for
absolutely.
You of the overlaps. Oh my goodness. This movie. It's got so much going on. You can watch it just as a straight bonkers folk horror film, and you can also watch it with just layer after layer after layer of thematic subtext. This is a movie that I've only seen once, and I'm waiting to see the director's cut. It's in the mail. This one to me feels like a more realized film than Hereditary, which was Ari Aster's film that he made 2 years ago, which I like a lot, but that movie's really hard for me to watch. It's just so...
Yeah, that's a movie I don't really want to watch
It's so repressively punishing.
Yeah.
Midsummer has a little bit more levity to it. It has a little bit more balance. It is a very... upsetting film in a lot of ways, but there's
the way it deals with it is easier.
Yeah.
And I will say that this movie has made me a huge fan of Florence Pugh.
Yes. Yes. I'm rooting for her for Little Women. I'm rooting for her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie. I've heard she's phenomenal in it. I'm not surprised because she is phenomenal in Midsummer.
I bet she's pretty good in Black Widow too.
Oh, yeah, she's in that. Yeah. That'll be great.
Yep.
I like her.
Yep. This is a movie that when I saw it, it's like I've not had that many experiences like that in the theater.
Yeah.
And it's haunting. But yet it was something I couldn't wait to see again.
Yeah.
And was very happy to see again and to see it with people who hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of wait.
It's one of those movies
where you wait for the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, wait until they see the skin suit.
Yeah.
The murder pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's great about that movie, too, is it telegraphs itself.
Yes. It's all there.
It's all there.
It's all on screen. You just got to know what you're looking at.
And it's also the journey to that and how it's going to present itself when the shit really does hit the fan.
Right.
it's a complex movie, and there's a lot of hate for this movie. It's I think probably of everything on our list, it might be the most divisive. Because I think,
probably, yeah. Now I think about it, yeah, probably.
What frustrates me more than anything are the people who dismiss it because The Wicker Man did it first, or what? I mean, sure, it is a lot of overlap with The Wicker Man, but The Wicker Man is a pretty straightforward folk horror film. It's basically a musical. Have you watched The Wicker Man recently? I love The Wicker Man.
No, it's not one that I watch a lot.
I actually watched The Wicker Man in preparation for seeing Midsummer.
Yeah,
because I knew the overlap, and I fell in love with The Wicker Man all over again. I was like, I really like this movie, but Midsummer, I'm sorry, when it comes to this type of folk horror, this cult folk horror of human sacrifice or whatever, it's in its own universe. I mean, it is.
I got a lot of suspicion why people are kind of shit on this movie, but
yeah,
but that's not here nor there.
We should move on.
We should move on. So
Midsummer was rad.
Midsummer was absolutely rad. I will never go to
fucking Sweden.
No,
I was staying in the
Scandinavia.
I'll stay in like Stockholm
right
or
off.
something.
Yeah. Right. So, all right. So it's time for the rest of the list.
Yeah.
The rest of the best.
Rest of the best.
Are we gonna go top down or bottom up?
Let's go up.
Let's go up.
Yeah. Let's make them wait for our number ones.
All right. My number 10.
Yeah.
The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
This is a movie you saw it first.
Yeah.
And then
this was really hard not to put on my list.
Yeah. Actually, did you see it first or did I see it first?
I saw it opening night.
You did. That's right. That's right. I went on $5 Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was the most claustrophobic movie experience I've ever had. You're dealing with two men alone in a lighthouse.
In a 4:3 aspect ratio.
In a square, like imagine watching, like, go back 20 years, rent a movie at Blockbuster, put it in your VCR. It's just like that.
Yeah.
It's but you're not watching it on a TV screen. You're watching it on a big screen, which only made it feel smaller.
Yeah. Yep.
It is. It's hard to know what I'm seeing. I don't understand everything that happened.
Yeah.
But my brain told me I liked it a lot.
Right.
And it's one that, much like Robert Eggers' first movie, The Witch.
The Vitch.
The Witch. It's a movie that is not for everyone.
Right.
But it was for me.
Yeah. I wholeheartily agree.
Yeah.
I really liked The Lighthouse. The performances in that. Pattinson and Defoe.
Whew.
Holy shit. They are just off the goddamn wall.
God damn, yeah. I mean, these are tour de force like how neither of them got an Oscar nomination is beyond me.
I don't understand it.
That tells you how good this year was.
It really was. They were phenomenal. And I love how my favorite part of this movie is the when they trade insults.
Yeah.
You have the one tirade by Willem Dafoe, and it's so articulate.
Yeah.
And how he is dressing down Robert Pattinson. And then a few scenes later, it's Robert Pattinson's turn to be totally frustrated with Willem Dafoe. And the way he insults him is completely inarticulate. It's like he doesn't even know how to put it into words. He's just and that contrast killed me.
Which also is a tell for later what you find out about him.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. It's just it's an interesting that again everything's on screen.
Yeah.
You just got to your brain's got to put it together.
Yeah. But you're right. It's one of those movies where it's like I still not quite sure what I saw, but I liked it.
Yeah. All right, hit me with your number 10.
My number 10 is The Headhunter.
Oh yeah, you talked about this. You wrote a review.
I wrote about this.
Yeah.
I saw this about a year ago now. Jordan Downey. He is known for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Is the movie he's known for, kind of a schlock Thanksgiving slasher film about a killer turkey. But he made this little movie called The Headhunter, which takes place in sort of a fantasy Viking type time and land. He made this movie for $30,000, and it looks like $1 million. It is beautiful what he did with so little money. It's a very simple story. It's basically one actor, the whole movie. It's kind of a show, don't tell kind of movie, but yet so much of what is shown is more implied than shown.
Yeah.
Right? So your imagination kind of runs away with you. You fill in the blanks, and sometimes that doesn't work, right? But it works beautifully in this movie. It is a short movie. It's only 71 minutes, right? So it feels a little bit like an extended short film.
Yeah.
But it never feels like it extends its welcome. It's just really, really, it's kind of a masterclass in storytelling, and really in how to stretch a budget. And if you can get one great performance out of one person, how far you can take that.
Yep.
So yeah, just absolutely can't recommend it enough. If you have a Shudder account, you can watch it for free.
Yep. Fantastic. My number 9 was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So
yeah,
I'll kick it over to you for number 9.
When I number 9 was another kind of weird one. Night Has Come. This was something I watched for Fantastic Fest when we were doing our coverage of that. It's a 55-minute film in black and white archival footage. I kind of lost my mind over this movie.
Yes, you did.
I think I watched this movie like 5 times in 4 days.
Yeah, you were. It's like, I think Chuck and I were concerned you were never coming back.
I lost myself in this movie. I wrote about it on filmseizure.com. Check out my write-up. It's more. I'll go in way more depth than I'm going to go in here. But in a nutshell, it's a narrative film told using historical archive footage, with a voiceover applied to kind of stitch together a sci-fi narrative about a virus that breaks out that causes people to lose their memories. And then the government's response to that, to trying to preserve memory, but then, is that a nefarious act? And was this virus caused by the government? And it's all told via this actual historical footage. So there's this meta narrative there about this story about captured memories that is being repurposed to sort of almost create a propaganda, right? It's just
this is what I'm talking about. Like I wouldn't understand. It's like, I don't know what's kind of stuff.
I was just blown away. Read my review if you're interested about hearing more, but if you can find it, find it. I don't know where you can find this though. It might be a while. I hope it gets just uploaded to YouTube at some point, because I'll just obsess again.
I have a feeling it probably will be a VOD sort of situation.
I hope so. I hope it finds a home, because it's beautiful. It really is. And the score by Guy Van Newton is my favorite score of the year.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, number 8 for me, Jojo Rabbit. Here's a movie that both you and Chuck were salivating to go see.
I know, and I never got to see it.
You're
the one who would see it. It's still out in theaters too, and I haven't gotten to see it.
It's getting that Oscar bump.
Yeah.
I went on it was another one of those $5 Tuesdays. It's like, I'm going to see Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
So I wrote about this, and some people don't know how to read words, but the point that I wanted to take away from this movie was, first of all, I'm a big fan of irreverence. We've talked about it before on the show. That's what B-movie enema is all about, is irreverence. Is sometimes you can't appreciate things unless you can kind of jab at it a little bit, have a little bit of fun with it. This movie uses irreverence in a slightly different way. It makes a joke out of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi movement, and particularly the Nazi youth. And it's interesting because what I really latched onto in my review was how this movie really parallels surprisingly well with what's going on with some of the youth and how they, and youth, I mean, particularly white men under the age of 25, and how they're getting kind of sucked in by what's called the intellectual dark web. And they're it's kind of fomenting these really bad ideas and these really dangerous ideas that really don't do anything but essentially separate you from the rest of society, and made to really kind of make you think that that ideal is more important or better than truth.
And Geoff says I'm the intellectual one.
Well, sometimes when I really grab hold of something, I can really go deep with it.
Yeah.
So this movie it does mirror things that are going on in the present. Read that word correctly next time, internet. Caught some heat.
That kills me, man.
This is not pointing at any particular person and saying that's what this person's doing. It's a movement that is more insidious than a person. It's a movement that is bred by way of propaganda. And propaganda today is being spread by the internet. And that's really what it's pointing out. And it's kind of paralleling. And it's a great movie. It's funny. There is a incredibly tragic story in this movie, but it helps all tell this very healing story, and how it is not too late to step out of those dangerous paths that you're going down. It's never too late to course correct, and to not be close-minded or wrong-minded.
Yeah.
It's never too late to be a better person. And that's something that really, and we talked about earlier, Scarlett Johansson. She is amazing in this movie.
Oh, man, I need to see it.
Because she is the voice of truth and love and peace and right. And, I mean, not saying that it has to be a particular mindset or a particular political party.
Right.
But what you think is right and what you're being told is right is essentially donkey shit.
Yeah.
You can do better. You can be better.
Yeah.
And she's that voice, and it's really good. It's a great story about a confused little boy and a mom who just wants to bring him back on the right path, and bring back the little boy that she's kind of losing to this propaganda.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was your number 9?
That was my number 8.
Your number 8. My number 8 was Ready or Not.
Okay.
So I will throw it back to you.
Well, my number 7 was Midsummer, so right back at you.
My number 7 was Dolomite is my name.
Okay,
so right back at you.
Okay, number 6.
I feel like we're playing Uno.
Yeah. We keep playing the reverse cards.
Yeah.
Number 6, Alita: Battle Angel.
Oh, cool.
First movie I saw of the year. Last year, my first movie that I saw of 2018 was Black Panther. It landed on my list. Alita did the same thing.
Yeah.
Stuck around.
Yeah, it did.
And it was something that I had no prior knowledge going. I knew it was a manga, and that there was an anime, and I knew that James Cameron desperately wanted to make this movie like 20 years ago. But Robert Rodriguez came in, and I feel like he brought a new attitude to it.
I agree with that. There's a sterility to Cameron's filmmaking these days.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I feel like, what's his name? Jeff Fahey. I feel like that's a Robert Rodriguez character.
He was great.
Yeah.
Fahey was great. I think Christoph Waltz was great.
As the father figure. Mm-hmm. And I am and I just love the story.
Yeah.
The Rosa Salazar, who voices Alita, is one of. We talk about those kind of humanizing characters, and we've talked about it like the Scarlett Johansson character, the Eddie Murphy playing Rudy Ray Moore. She felt like a real person, and you see her grow up, and you do have a lot of affection for her. And it's just it doesn't make you think that she's doing anything that isn't realistic, because she's a robot.
There's a fairy tale aspect.
Absolutely
to this movie.
She's becoming a real girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, I hate to say it's kind of a better AI. And I
can't believe you brought that up. Okay, we're going to talk about AI someday.
One day.
But
not today.
Not today. But no, you're right. There's a lot of that feel of that world there, right?
Yeah.
People who are incomplete.
Yeah.
And they are, in AI, they're all robots. But
right.
there are cyborgs in this movie. And it's great. It's, I just really enjoyed this movie. You always said that you always wondered what happened to the final act.
Yeah.
But that tells me you wanted more in the right way.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. I think that as a complete movie, it didn't give me everything I wanted. I don't feel like I heard the whole story. And not in the sense that it was a cliffhanger necessarily. Although I do hope that they make another, because
it made a bunch of money in Asia.
Because I want to see more. And you're absolutely right.
Like, Disney 20th Century Fox.
The movie moved so fast for a 2-hour plus movie that when it ended, I was shocked, because I thought that we were in the beginning of the third act.
Right.
And I was like, well, wait, where's the third act? I want more. I want to feel the resolution. That was my only critique. Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad critique, because you wanted more.
No, it was effective in all the ways that would make me want more. I mean, can you imagine if you're looking at your watch at that point?
Yeah.
That was not the case. It was the opposite of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I got to see it in IMAX, which was pretty awesome.
I bet that was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So Alita Battle Angel finished 6th. For a long time, it sat at number 2.
Yeah.
For a long time, for 8 months, it sat at number 2.
Wow. All right. My number 5 is Knives and Skin by Jennifer Reeder. This was another movie I got to see at Fantasia in Montreal. This movie completely took me by surprise. Like, I didn't really know what I was going to see when I went to see this. I heard from the description, I saw someone describe it sort of as Twin Peaks, and I was like, well, I'm going to go see that. I fucking love Twin Peaks. But it's not at all Twin Peaks.
I think sometimes people like to apply that to things that are weird.
Yeah. It's a dead girl trope. Right?
Fair enough.
That's what the impetus of the story is. But what Jennifer Reeder does is she turns that on its head. She gives a dead girl power. And it's got this very poignant feminist message, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it. But more than anything, there's this, it's just this sort of poignantly sad, but realistic storytelling in the sense of just how people come of age. And I think even the tagline of the movie is something along the lines of coming of age is a lifelong process. And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't feel like
I've not come to age yet.
Right. And there's a sense that, when you're an adult, you have it all figured out.
And you have to act a certain way.
Like you have it all figured out. And nobody in this movie has it figured out. And that's what I love about it. Like the way that the adults and their children deal with grief is strikingly similar. Nobody knows what's next. Nobody knows what to do with their lives. We're just getting by day to day.
Right.
Right. And it just resonated so much with me.
Right.
So yeah, this is coming to Blu-ray in April. I believe Shout Factory is putting out. I highly recommend it. It's very stylized too. It's beautifully shot. There's these moments throughout where there are these a cappella female choir renditions of 80s new wave songs that are just beautiful, and the way those moments are used in the process of self-discovery is I don't know. This movie blows me away, and I want as many people as possible to see it. And I wrote about it in length on the website as well, so you can read more there.
All right, my number 5 was Ready or Not.
Yes.
So
back at me. So that means my number 4.
Wait, what was your number 5? Wait.
Oh, my number 5 was Knives and Skin.
Oh.
Yeah. My number 6 was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh.
Did you do your 6?
Yeah, I did Alita.
So then what was your 5?
Ready or Not.
Okay. So then you can do 4 if you want.
Okay. Well, I'll do number 4
Do number
because
4.
that actually brings up the other side of this. We mentioned it when we talked about Ready or Not. My number 4 was Knives Out.
Ah, yes. Yes.
This movie was something that every movie I went and saw for 3 or 4 months, I got a trailer for it. I thought, oh God, I can't wait for this movie to come out.
Right. Yeah.
Not because I want to see it necessarily.
You want to stop seeing the trailer.
I want to stop seeing the trailer.
Yeah.
I worried about that a little bit.
Sure.
But I mean, even when Rotten Tomatoes is wrong, they're not usually wrong when they say a movie is at 99%.
Right.
That's usually, I mean, like, you can fudge 65 to 75%, right?
Yeah.
You can't fudge 99% with like 200 reviews or whatever. I saw that movie on opening night because it was another $5 Tuesday. And I went with my mom and my aunt, and I fucking loved that movie.
Yeah.
I could not believe how much I loved every single character in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I fell in love with Ana de Armas.
That's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see her in No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. Yeah.
Because she's going to get the Bond girl treatment there. But we kind of loved her already from Blade Runner, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, but anyway, it was just one of those movies that just, it nailed it.
Yeah.
It just hit it all. I mean, it just was right.
It captured that sort of Agatha Christie sort of, old school Murder, She Wrote type, like, story, right?
Right, because there's a character at the center of it,
Yeah.
the Daniel Craig character.
Yeah, he's your Hercule Poirot,
Yeah,
right?
he's your Poirot.
Yeah, he's your Poirot. So it's a little bit of the old and a little bit of the new, but very cheeky.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hope that what I hear is right, that he's playing that character again
That's
soon.
what I've heard.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll show me that trailer 27 times. I'll still go see it.
Yeah. It is a ton of fun.
I did talk about it during with an episode of Film Seizure at the Movies. I did bring up the one thing that I caught. I mean, this is a Rian Johnson movie. He wrote the script.
Oh, you're talking about like the
Star Wars
connections. Yeah.
I mean, he did come out to say he wrote this while he was kind of healing from the online. And yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Each character represents a different piece of that.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how it's, how he used pop culture to tell this really, really interesting and engaging, funny murder mystery. Fantastic.
I like how it solves the murder halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I won't say anything about.
Well, I mean, it's you said that it's kind of like an old school, like Columbo. You always knew who the killer was.
Right.
You're just waiting for Columbo to. You see that in the first.
You need somebody
scene.
to lay it all out for you.
And Columbo. No, I mean, in a Columbo episode, you see who is guilty at the beginning.
Yeah.
You're waiting for Columbo to piece it together.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that's basically
very similar.
And in this, you're kind of rooting for one character, but then the other character's too smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
The only thing that bothers me about this movie is that there are a lot of people who watched it who were kind of blown away by it because they didn't see or hear all of the clues that because Rian Johnson very much like tells you everything.
Yep.
You need to know. And I unfortunately picked all of that up. So I feel like it took some of the fun away from me and the discovery.
When I was watching it, it's like, oh, I know who's guilty.
Yeah.
And I know who is. I maybe don't know the exact how.
There were a few threads that I needed. That
right. Yeah. But I knew who I didn't trust.
Right.
And that's all that mattered.
Yeah.
In the long run, there was one scene in particular. It's like, that's not right. That's not what that person's like.
I contend and I'm not going to give it away, but I contend that if they took one line out of this movie by Christopher Plummer, that it would have been better. And it has to do with, well, we'll talk about it offline.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
Fair enough.
But if they took one line out of this movie, it might have made my top 10.
All right, fair enough.
Cool. So my number 4.
Yeah.
My number 4 is late entry, 1917, by Mr. Sam Mendes.
Speaking of Bond.
Yeah. So Mr. Mendes has spent the last, several years making Bond movies, but he blew onto the scene back in '99 with American Beauty, which won Best Picture. A movie I like quite a bit. But he made 1917 this year. It's a World War I movie. Not generally a movie that I would necessarily enjoy or go to see. I'm not a huge proponent of or fan of war movies these days, but I kind of got sucked in by the gimmick a little bit about how this movie is stitched together to look like one shot, and I like that. I typically understand that there's going to be a technical component to that that's going to be fascinating to watch unfold, sort of like Birdman with Michael Keaton that won Best Picture a few years ago. Did the same thing. And there's something fun and interesting to me just from a technical aspect and a movie making aspect to see where they hide the cuts, right? I always enjoy that. And so that's kind of how I went into the movie, was like, I want to see the technical marvel that this movie is. And it's definitely on display, but I was very, very surprised to be sucked into the story. And beyond just the one shot aspect of the takes, but the score and the cinematography, and this is movie making at its peak, in my opinion. I mean, technically, this is a perfect film. People have criticized it for being overly technical, and the fact that being as technical as it is, that it has detracted from the poignancy that you're trying to probably convey in a story about the atrocities of war. And I can understand that criticism.
I feel like that's the type of criticism that is the built-in response if it doesn't win Best Picture.
Right.
I mean, like, and that's a fair, I mean, like, if you're saying, well, here's my choice. Do I pick the movie that's a love letter to the way Hollywood used to be before it got all skeevy and weird? Or this technically perfect, well, I felt a little bit more over here. This, I'll give all the technical awards to this.
Right.
But this one over here is the one that, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but
there's still one other movie that may play spoiler to all of that.
Sure.
Yeah. And I know which one it is, and I know where it is on your list.
Yep, it could. But anyway, I really, really liked it. I mean, if there is one award this year in the Oscars that is an absolute shoo-in, it's Roger Deakins for cinematography. If he doesn't win, just don't ever watch the Academy Awards again. That's
okay. Sure.
I mean, if he doesn't win,
right.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how much percentage points he had in the voting for the nomination.
Yeah, in the betting pools, you can bet on this now in Indiana. He's the best odds of any category.
Yeah, I bet.
It's like minus 10,000 or something. Yeah. Yeah. And if he does, he's gonna win. And it'll be a second win because he won for Blade Runner. Yep. Anyway, loved it. That was my number 4.
All right. Number 3 for me was Rocket Man. I did an episode on this as well.
Oh, yes.
I was very disappointed that Taron Egerton didn't get nominated for Best Actor.
He was a victim to how strong this year was.
Yes.
Because it is truly a travesty. I mean, I liked Rami Malek fine as Freddie Mercury. Him winning Best Actor is a little suspect. But the fact that he won Best Actor for playing Freddie Mercury and didn't sing, and Taron Egerton didn't even get nominated. And
he sang just like Elton John. And Elton John's not an easy voice to imitate.
That's totally fucked up.
Yeah. This is made by the same person who took over
Yeah.
After
Same
Bryan
director.
Singer got shit canned.
Yeah.
For being a weirdo.
Yep, that's what it is.
I mean, that's what it is, right?
Yep.
So he gets. So he's. This is not. This does not pull punches. In terms of like, Elton John, super gay.
Yeah.
Bad relationship with family. There's. You feel like you also get the impression that this is the movie that Bohemian Rhapsody could have been, the more of a fantasy musical.
Yeah. I like the format.
Yeah,
Of this.
And it's not trying to tell a story in narrative sense of like, okay, we know in 1969 he released Your Song, and we know in 1982. I guess that's why they call it the blues came out or whatever.
Right.
They're not trying to tell that linear story.
Yeah.
They are telling a story for somebody like Elton John in the best possible way that you can tell a story about a man like Elton John.
Yeah.
It's just through a musical, through a fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
This is one of those few instances where I went in, it's like, I'm going to watch a musical. I really want to watch this musical. and I enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, like I enjoyed the fantastical of it.
Yeah. It's the kind of musical that I like. It's a musical that has a purpose, right? It should be a musical.
Yeah.
One critique I read was that it makes you wonder why all rock or music biopics aren't told this way.
Right.
Yeah. My only criticism really of it was that I wish I like the creative aspect of it. I like seeing more of the process. So that's what I liked a lot about Bohemian Rhapsody was the process.
Yeah, and this was more about the friendship with with Bernie Taupin.
Right. And that's the thing. Like he's not a band.
Right.
It's him and his writer.
Yeah.
Right. Where Queen, is a band and there's relationships there. And I kind of just enjoy that dynamic a little bit more.
Fair enough.
But I can't say anything really bad about Rocket Man. It was great. I mean, it's a good movie.
Yeah. All right.
So that was your number 3?
Yeah, that was my number 3.
All right. My number 3 was Midsummer.
Okay.
So we've talked about that. My number 2 is One Cut of the Dead.
You've been wanting me to watch that for a while.
I want you to watch
I
this
will watch
so
I will watch it.
badly. And I'm not going to talk much about this.
Okay.
Because this is a movie. It's on Shudder. If you have a Shudder account, I think it's the only way you can see it. And maybe it's for rent on the Amazons or something if you have that. But find this movie. I cannot recommend this movie enough. This is the kind of movie you want to show people and watch them watch it.
Okay.
Like, I want to give you a couple pieces of advice. Go in cold and stick with it.
Okay.
You will be rewarded. I promise you. And you will.
So it's a third act reveal.
And you will absolutely want to watch it again immediately.
Okay.
A few little things about this. It's a Japanese film. It's a Shinichiro Maeda is the director. I think it's the only thing he's ever done. This movie was made for $25,000. $25,000. 1 million yen, I think.
I was going to say that sounds like about 1 million yen. I don't know why I know that.
It made $30.5 million worldwide.
Jeez.
This might be the most successful independent film ever made.
In proportion. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
See it. It is phenomenal. I showed this to Susan, my wife, and I got the exact response I expected early, and I got the exact response I expected late, and she loved it. She absolutely loved it. It might be her favorite movie of the year.
You needed to say that as my wife.
My wife.
Yeah, I showed my wife.
My wife. This next to Dolomite Is My Name is right in the running for feel good movie of the year.
Okay.
It's that kind of movie.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my number 2 was Dolomite Is My Name.
Yes.
So here we go.
What do you got?
You want me to go number 1 first?
Tell us. Give it to us.
Or do you want to go? Or you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Unless you want me to go. You can.
No, I'll go because like Thanos, this is inevitable. Avengers Endgame is number one. Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
Is this a better movie than Infinity War? Not really. But does it pay off Infinity War? Absolutely. This is a 3-hour movie in which the final act is a full hour of action.
Yeah.
And there are things that people can complain about with these types of movies where it's like, oh, the fan service just gets in the way. Here's the thing. This movie does everything that the other movies leading up to this couldn't really do because there was no room for failure to get to this point. And some of that fan service might have teetered a little bit too much to the comic fans, to the older fans like me. Mm-hmm. I have waited for 7 years for Captain America to say Avengers Assemble, and he did it in the most fucking epic way with Thor's hammer that I could have. I mean, I
was sitting next to you. I think you peed yourself.
Melted. Yeah. I didn't. That wasn't pee.
It wasn't pee?
No, it was another fluid.
Did you gush?
That was like I knew it was coming. That whole moment where everybody came back and it's like, holy shit, this is the splash page that you open up in an event comic and it just makes you tingle. Like just thinking about it right now, I'm tingling. It's like it was everything that 10-year-old Geoff never thought would ever be possible to see. And goddamn, I saw it. And it is, I've always said that one of my favorite moments that I've ever had, and you were there for this too, was the money shot when the Avengers finally got together in the first movie.
Yeah.
Times that by infinity.
Infinity War.
Yeah, but times that by everybody in Wakanda coming out too.
Yeah.
This movie fucking rocked, and it was made for me. If this wasn't number one, I'd probably have to commit seppuku. Die on my sword, because it's like this movie was like Kevin Feige was like, what would Geoff like to see? He wants Captain America to pick up Thor's hammer. Fuck yeah, we can do that. What else Geoff want to see? He wants to see everybody fight together. We can do that. We got all the money in the world to do this. Let's do it. And they gave it to me, and Geoff was pleased.
I don't think that I can say that I had that much joy at the cinema this year. I mean, no way. I mean, you got it. That feeling is what you chase, right?
Yeah.
So I'm super happy for you. I to be honest, I forgot that movie was even this year. I thought it was last year. It feels like ages since I saw that movie.
By the way, that is the consecutive Avengers twosome back-to-back number ones.
Yeah. Well, yes, but for some reason I thought the movie came out last year, but maybe it's because Infinity War came out last year, right? Yeah.
Well, this is the other half of that movie.
Right. I liked it too. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, it's fun.
It deals with time travel in such a fun way where it's like, that's not the rules. Don't worry about it. Moving on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, don't worry about it.
That's hard for me sometimes. But
in a comic book sense, it helps create something else that's coming in our near future, which is a multiverse.
I liked Fat Thor a lot. the Lebowski Thor.
Lebowski Thor. Yeah. He's pretty great. I should have worn my Lebowski Thor shirt today.
Anyway. Okay. Well, my number one, and this is, you've alluded to it already.
Yep.
This could be the spoiler of Best Picture this year. We'll see. It is definitely in the betting markets. It is number 2 right now.
Really?
By quite a bit, quite a big margin, but still it's number 2.
What's number 1?
1917.
Really?
1917 is number 1 in the betting markets. It's the only one with negative money.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is Parasite is running at like plus 350 or something like that. and that's my number one of the year. Is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. This movie, man. All right. So this was a unanimous vote winner at the Palme d'Or at Cannes this year.
Which also means that if Armand White didn't like it, it's got to be good.
Yeah. This movie, you know, the Palme d'Or. Last time that a movie won unanimous vote at the Palme d'Or was Blue Is the Warmest Color, which was several years ago. French film, pretty good, but you know, I mean, I wouldn't have put it in my top 15 or whatever. It is fine though. It's very long. It's too long. Anyway,
it's very long. Too long.
You know, generally the Palme d'Or doesn't get a lot of recognition from the sort of the stateside awards, but this one's been a juggernaut. It won Best International or for Foreign Film, whatever they call it, at the Golden Globes. It will probably win Best International Film at the Academy Awards this year. I mean, it's
better because it's nominated for Best Picture.
Right, exactly, exactly. If you go by that logic, which you should, it will win. There's an interesting sort of thing at play here where if it doesn't win, it might win Best Picture.
Oh, you mean split it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that. I mean, even The Artist won both. Yeah. I mean, so yeah.
The Artist, I forgot about that.
That's the last foreign language film to win Best Picture. Yeah. Not many have done it.
It's a better movie than The Artist. Parasite is.
Is it better than Brian Posehn's The Fartist? Because that was pretty great.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
But this is another movie that I don't want to say too much about because I do think you need to go in cold on this movie. This movie is surprising in a lot of ways.
I know it takes a pretty big left turn.
It definitely does.
That's all I know. I don't know what that
big left turn is. And I don't want to give any of that away, but that's not even why it's so great necessarily. It's people ask me about it, or a way I describe it to people is I say it's a South Korean contemporary version of Downton Abbey.
Okay.
So think about upstairs, downstairs. Think about like classism, right? Think about the haves and the have-nots, right? And that dynamic.
Yep.
I mean, Parasite is
I think about that a lot, to be honest.
Parasite is a metaphor for that.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this movie is about. This is about the symbiotic relationship between classes and the harmony and the disharmony that creates.
So it's Snowpiercer with a different setting.
It's instead of horizontal, it's vertical.
It's vertical, yeah.
In some ways, that's giving away a little bit too much.
Fair enough,
but
that's
yes,
okay.
But it hits on a lot of the same themes as Snowpiercer, but in a I wouldn't even necessarily say more subtle way, but in a more contemporary, non-genre way.
Okay. Yeah. Because Snowpiercer is definitely more of a sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
It is. It's a staggering film. Bong Joon-ho is a filmmaker that I will see without hesitation anything he makes. It is far and away my favorite film of the year, and it's not even close.
Well, I think we both feel the same way about our number ones. I mean, 5 minutes after Endgame ended, it's like number one. Nothing will top it. I get it. So let's go back through your top 10. Just name them off again. Yeah, sure. Just as a recap.
Number 10, The Headhunter. Number 9, Night Has Come. Number 8, Ready or Not. Number 7, Dolomite Is My Name. Number 6, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 5, Knives and Skin. Number 4, 1917. Number 3, Midsummer. Number 2, One Cut of the Dead. And number 1, Parasite.
Interestingly enough, your 1 and 2 are both foreign films.
Yeah.
See, guys, everybody. He's the higher brow, smarter one.
And number 3 took place in Sweden.
Yes, exactly. And 1917's in Europe.
Yes.
Keep going. What else we got?
Knives and Skin was that's in Midwest.
Okay. All right.
It ends there.
All right. So for me, running back down again, number 10, The Lighthouse. Number 9, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 8, Jojo Rabbit. Number 7, Midsummer. Number 6, Alita Battle Angel. Number 5, Ready or Not. Number 4, Knives Out. Number 3, Rocket Man. Number 2, Dolomite Is My Name. Number 1, Avengers Endgame.
Boom.
Boom. Big boom.
Boom.
Boom. That's it, man. Another year in the books.
We've done it.
We did it.
And we thought we'd hold this to an hour.
Shit. And when you said an hour, I was like, no way.
No way.
But this is shorter than last year.
Yeah.
So
No way, Jose.
no way, Jose. Yeah. So, hey.
If
We did it.
said all we need to say.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood will win Best Picture.
Ooh, that was your sneak attack.
That was my sneak attack. That's my.
Huh. It could.
It could. Hollywood has.
There's a lot of juice behind that movie.
Well, Hollywood loves to congratulate its own history.
Yeah, it does.
And anything that sniffs at a past time in Hollywood, they love it.
I was thinking to Susan that Hollywood might want to give Tarantino Best Director because that's sort of a lifetime achievement sort of thing, especially since he's coming in on, say, supposedly his last film.
Yeah.
You know, and if he wins Best Director, usually you win Best Picture. Not always, but usually.
Lately, no, and that irritates me in my OCD brain. That how can you be the best director of a film that's not best film, Best Picture?
Agreed.
Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
What do you think? Let's do it real quick. What do you think are the shoo-ins?
Brad Pitt.
I agree.
And Renee Zellweger.
Yep, I agree. I haven't seen that movie. I don't want to see that movie, but I'll check it out.
I feel like Quentin Tarantino is the shoe-in for original screenplay.
I do too. Best adaptation, I guarantee will go to Little Women.
Probably,
they want to give that something, and that as a perfect place to do it. International will go to Parasite.
And Deacon's.
Deacon is cinematography with a bullet.
Yeah.
Then you go down Ticket. It's kind of hard. I mean,
yeah, it's hard to say because, Suicide Squad won an Oscar for makeup one year. So
who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Put Damaged on your face and you win an Oscar.
Speaking of Suicide Squad, in 1 week or so, I will release the Film Seizure at the Movies for. I'm just calling it Birds of Prey. I'm not putting that whole goddamn.
What the hell is the subtitle?
The Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. Yeah,
that's a dumb title. Now they're saying Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey, and then they still put the subtitle. Yeah, we get it. Harley Quinn's your gravy train. I get it.
I kind of got a little bit of fatigue.
I've got a little bit of Harley. When you go to enough conventions and you see nothing but Harley Quinn, you get a little fatigued.
Well, I'll be curious about your thoughts. If you like it enough, I'll probably check it out.
I'm going in with lower expectations. So
I've heard actually good buzz on it though.
We'll see. I guess it did get because it did premiere in Mexico or something, I think already. I don't know. I'm more interested in the other characters.
I'm a Margot Robbie fan.
Sure.
So
sure. I mean, nothing against her. It's just that it's like Harley Quinn is the Daredevil or the Deadpool of DC, and it's like that can run thin quick.
Yeah. Well, it did for me in Deadpool 2. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. So next week, that long titled movie from me.
Okay.
And hey, Force February, we're in it.
We're in it
now.
Oh boy, you've heard the theme song. You love it.
Well, no, we're not. Well, the episode hasn't come out.
Oh shit, you're right.
But the month has begun.
This is coming out tomorrow, isn't it?
Well, I may publish the theme song. I don't know. We'll see. I have it just in case.
We'll be pressing it on 45 RPM. 7-inch wax.
7-inch wax. Yep. Get out my big 10-inch record. Anyway, yeah. So Force February.
That'll be the force in your ass.
Yeah. We start with A Force of One.
Yes.
Chuck Norris, kind of a Rocky sort of movie.
Yeah.
But with Chuck Norris fighting bad guys and dope dealers.
Yeah.
And the stupid cocaine. So anyway, yeah. So that's coming on Wednesday. Yeah. So check it out then.
Indubitably.
So you come to filmseizure.com, you get our episodes, you get our Film Seizure at the movies. You've got Monster Monday Saturdays or 00 Saturdays. I'm releasing 52 007 articles this year.
That's crazy.
And I'm already halfway through them writing.
Dang.
Yeah. Check out all that stuff. It's good. It's fun. It's good stuff.
You don't need any entertainment anywhere else.
No.
You got it all covered.
We got it all right here on UHF. No, that's the song UHF. We got it all on Film Seizure.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so we'll see you on the airwaves.
Yes, I'm Jason Oliver.
I'm Geoff Arbuckle. Don't forget to save me the aisle seat.